Hi everyone, Sarah here. Just thought I'd take some time and go through our first assignment one, practice one, whetting your appetite in Photoshop. What you see right here in front of you is I have the Canvas classroom open. I'm showing it to you in student view, so it kind of looks like what you see on your end. And then I have Photoshop in the background. And so I'm just going to go ahead and take you through the process of completing this assignment and show you a few more things about Photoshop and talk about a little bit about my expectations. So for any assignment inside Canvas, the first thing you always want to do is you want to click on the assignment link, because I'm going to give you all the details you need to know. I'm going to give you due dates. I'm going to give you how many points it's worth. I'm even going to tell you what kind of file you're going to be turning in. So in this case, it's due Saturday, it's 10 points, and you're turning in a JPEG file. You always want to read through the directions, whether it's an assignment from the textbook or an assignment I've created with instructions. I will give you information on what you're turning in, and sometimes I'll even give you some examples. So here are some examples of what yours might look like. It's totally okay if yours is different. And then for every assignment, there will be a grading rubric, so you'll see that, and that's how I'll grade you. For this assignment, you'll see it's just worth 10 points. So either you did the assignment or you didn't do the assignment. So if you get you'll get the full 10 points for turning it in. I just want you to have a little bit of fun and start to get introduced to Photoshop. That's what this assignment is about. So here there are there's a set of instructions. Sometimes you might have data files. I might give you a Photoshop file, or I might give you a JPEG file. It just depends. In this case, there's just an instruction file. There's this little preview icon inside Google Chrome. If you click it, you can actually see the PDF file right here inside the window, and so you could scroll through that and go back and forth between Photoshop if you want, if that's you. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and download the actual instruction file, and you'll see it downloads it here into a Google Chrome. And I'm just going to open it up, and it's a PDF, so it's just going to open it in another tab. And then what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to go ahead and dock the instructions and Photoshop side by side. I'm using Windows 10, so I'm just going to use the snap feature. And to do that, I can click and hold in the title bar of this browser and drag to the right until I see that hologram. See that hologram to the right? See, it's starting to take shape. Once I see that, I can let go, and then Windows is going to say, hey, which one of these do you want to use as the other window? And I'm going to choose Photoshop. I'm actually going to adjust the width so we can see a little bit more Photoshop. And I might zoom out of the instructions a little bit. So here are the instructions on the right, and I have Photoshop open on the left. So we're going to go ahead and go through this assignment to help you, support you completing it. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to download an image from Google Images. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up a new tab. I'm going to go to Google Images, and I'm going to search the word artichoke. Thank you. Sorry. And then you'll see you get a bunch of choices. Now, one of the competencies of this course is to learn to use images that are copyright free and how to find them. And so we're going to do that right here in the second step. So if you didn't know, not all images in Google are copyright free. So what you can do is filter your search following this path using tools, usage rights, labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification. So right over here in Google, you're just going to look for the tools button up at the top of the Google Images window and choose usage rights, and then label for non-commercial reuse with modification. And all that means is it's just, hey, you can use any of these images you find and do whatever you want with them. So it's very exciting. I'm going to scroll through till I find something that catches my eye. We don't have to spend a ton of time for this lesson, so you can pick anything you like. Let's go with, I like this one up here, green artichoke. All right, and so I'm going to click that image one time. To actually download it, I'm going to go ahead then, here's the image over here in the preview window. I'm going to right click and choose Save Image As. And then my computer's prompting me where to save it. You want to go ahead and make sure you're saving all your files in your locations on your computers. I'm just going to work in my downloads folder today. Right, and I'm just going to leave the default name. In this case, it's a JPEG image, green artichoke lot JPEG. I'm not going to change anything about it, and I just click Save. And what it does is it downloads a copy of it, but it's actually downloaded to the particular folder that I sent it to. I'm not going to open it here. I'm going to come back to my instructions. And then the next thing we're going to do is it says Start Photoshop, which I've already done. And then we want to open the image. So go to the open the image by going to File, Open. Pretty easy. And then you want to just navigate to where you saved that file. So in this case, I went to my downloads, and here it is, green artichoke. So I'm just going to double click that, and it opens up that file. Now my Photoshop 1 is smaller because I have resized the window side by side, and 2, it might look a little different than yours. So let me just take a moment here to talk about what we're looking at. I've got some panels and tools. I'm going to close these. So what you're looking at over here on the left, this is what's called the tools panel, okay? And it has all the different tools that you're going to use. First thing I like to do is click this little double chevron, and it just puts my tools into 2 columns. It's just how I like to look at it. You do not have to do that. That's just the way that I like to work. And so we have different tools here, and you can click on them. You can hover your cursor over them. Whenever you hover your cursor, it tells you what the tool is. It gives you a little video showing you how that tool works. When I click on a tool, so in this case the Move tool right here, you have an options bar up here at the top. So every tool that you click on has a whole set of options at the top that change. So if I come over here and I click on this eyedropper tool, we'll see that the options bar changed. If I click on this pen tool, the options bar change. Okay, and the other thing you want to take note of is that all these tools have a little arrow in the lower right corner, almost all of them. And so what that means is if you click and hold on the tool, you'll see there's more tools underneath it. So it's not just one tool, but there's lots of tools here. Okay, over here on the right, these are some panels that I have docked or made shortcuts to. Again, more tools that I can use, different things that I can do. So when you opened up the picture, you might have seen the layers panel open. And we're going to spend every lesson, everything you do with layers. Some of you might already be familiar with the term layers. I would tell you that the 2 most important skills that you could gain from this class, from the beginning of learning Photoshop, is understanding layers or layer management and knowing how to make precise selections. Knowing how to make precise selections fast is even better, but with speed comes time. So it's going to take some time to learn how to do that. All right, so we have our picture open. So we're going to come over here. Let's see what the next instruction says. So step 6, it says save the PSD, save it as a PSD file. So right now, if you look up here in Photoshop, you'll see here's the default name of the file I downloaded from Google. And so what I want to do is I want to resave this file as a Photoshop file. And the file format is called PSD for Photoshop document. And you want to always be working in a Photoshop file because you have the most options and tools. Everything, you can use everything in the software program when you have your file saved as a Photoshop file. So we're just going to go ahead and go File, Save As. And then because the downloads folder was the last place I was working, that's where it's going to ask me to save it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the type from JPEG. I'm going to click this little arrow and choose Photoshop. Okay, so it already puts the PSD at the end, but really I want to change the name. I'm always going to give you a file name. So here in the instructions, you'll see I want it to be Practice 1, last name, first name. So I'm just going to click on that one time. I'm going to type Practice 1 _ Mercill Sarah. If you didn't have the underscore and you used a space, no problem. If you put your first name and then your last name, no problem. The most important thing is always have your name appended to the files that you turn in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and then you'll see right up here the name of the file has changed. Yay! All right, step 7. So the next thing we want to do with this picture is we want to change it to be a square shape. So I'm going to click this little double chevron. This just collapses the layers panel. You'll see it looks like a rectangle. I want to make it look like a square. Why? Because I'm trying to teach you something. And maybe you want to make something for Instagram. Let's put a little history, like a little story behind this. We're going to make a meme or something to put on Instagram, and a lot of time those pictures are in a square shape. So what we're going to use is what's called the crop tool, which literally just allows us to cut the edges off. And so this is the crop tool over here. I'm going to click on it, and you'll see that right now a crop window appears. I actually had it going before, so I'm going to, oh, we want 1 by 1 square. That's what we want. So you'll see the options bar changes, and the options I'm giving you is set it to a 1-to-1 square. You might have it set at something else. If it came up as this, in this case 5 by 7, it might look like that. If you have been using Photoshop, whatever the last settings you have are what's going to appear. But for this one, we want to choose 1 by 1-to-1 square. And so then you'll see it adds this kind of grid and this crop area, and whatever's kind of grayed out on the sides, that's what's going to be cut off. So I'm going to look at this, and then what I can do is with my cursor, I can left click and I can move the image within the crop window to get exactly what I want, however I want it to look. Maybe I want this artichoke to be over here closer to the left. So that looks kind of good. And then once I'm happy with that, right up here on the options bar, can't see it because my window, make this a little bit bigger, you'll see a little check mark. That's the commit button, or you can always press the enter. So we have to actually set this, it's called a transformation. We have to set it, so I can press enter, or I can click this little check mark. I'll do that here, and you'll see, there we go, we've made it a square. All right, coming back over here to step 8, or we did that. And you'll see here some examples of what it might look like. I did this assignment a couple of times, so I'm coming on down to step 9. All right, once we're happy, we click the commit button. Now, I'm looking at this picture. It's pretty big. Depending on whatever picture you downloaded, it might actually look a little bit smaller. That's totally fine. We're not worried about the sizes of files right now. But what you can do is you can magnify the image so it fits the whole screen, so you can be looking at it close up. And a shortcut to that is in the tools panel, this hand tool, the hand tool allows you to pan around the document. If you double click that, that will fill the image to the window. So there you go. It's like zoomed up. All right. So super close. All right, so we're going to add some text to this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the text tool from the tools panel. So right over here, that would be the letter T, and you'll see my options bar change. And just so you know, some of you might still have this layers panel open, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and click the chevron to hide it, and we're going to talk more about the panels later. So if you're just wondering where mine went, I just hit it just so you guys can see what we're working on. So once I click the text tool, you can see my cursor has changed to this I bar. See how it looks like a letter I? It's saying it's ready to enter text. And then up here on the options bar are all the different things I can change: the fonts, the size, the color, so on and so forth. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to click this font menu, and I want to pick a font that's really thick, just because it's going to make more sense as we go later in the assignment. So I'm going to choose Kamika Access. Just so you know, whatever font you're looking at, your list is going to be different than my list, because your list is going to show the fonts that are saved on your computer. So I'm going to choose this one. I was playing with the assignment earlier. I'm going to choose this one. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a color so I can change the color of my font before I even start typing. So you have a little swatch up here. I can click that and it opens the color picker. So already you can see I clicked a button, I clicked this text tool, and then I'm clicking some options up here, and that's even opening more windows. So you can see there's a lot of different options that you're going to be picking and choosing before you actually do something to the picture, do something to the image. So you can go ahead and pick any color you like. You can slide up and down to change the rainbow. Maybe I want to pick something purple. I think I used black in my example in the instructions, but you can pick any color you like. If I wanted black, I could drag it all the way down here to the corner. But I'm going to go ahead and do purple, and just to prove that it's okay if yours looks different than mine. No problem, okay? So I like that color. You know, you can just drag your cursor around here. You can pick any color you like, whatever. Eyeballing it. That looks good. And then I'll click OK. All right, we don't see anything on the screen yet, but we do see our options bar has changed. So now I could just click anywhere in the center of my picture, and what happens is just clicking one time with the text tool, Photoshop will put in what's called just some dummy text. Lorem ipsum is called Greek text. And so we're just going to type over it. You're going to type your first name. I'm going to type Sarah. And then once I'm happy with my name, then I can either I'm going to press the commit button right up here on the options bar, and that's going to set my text. Okay, so I'm already done. Now to move it, you can see my cursor still looks like an I-bar. If I were to click again, I would get more text. So now I want to actually move this text, so I have to choose a different tool. And I'm going to choose this move tool right up here in the tools panel. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. You'll see my option bar changed again. You'll see my cursor changes to an arrow with a little 4-way crosshairs. That's letting me know, hey, I'm in move mode. And I can just drag it and move it wherever I want. I'm going to move it up here to the upper left. And now I want to make it bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to Edit, Transform, Scale, and that lets me make another transformation. So you can see I can do things with the tools, with the options. We're going to have panels, and I even have menus. So many different things we can do. I know it can be overwhelming. I'm just giving you a taste right now with this assignment. You're going to explore many of these throughout the semester in this course. All right, so now that I'm in transformation mode, I get these handles around it. So I'm going to go ahead and I like to place my cursor in the corner until I see that diagonal arrow. I'm going to click, I'm going to hold, and I'm going to drag. Hey, I got giant text, okay? And when I'm happy with how it looks, I can let go, and I can either press enter on the keyboard or click my commit button. I'm going to go ahead and click commit, and it sets the text. All right, so we're over here right at step 14. We're actually at step 15. So it says, I'm going to scroll down. So right here it's saying take notice of the layers panel. So let me open that back up right here. If you don't have these docked panels here, you can always go to Window, Layers, and that'll open it up for you as well. All right, so you can see I actually have 2 layers in this Photoshop file. One is called background, and actually this is a special layer because the text is italicized and it's locked, and you'll learn about background layers coming up. But that holds the picture that we downloaded. And then I have a text layer, which in this case is named Sarah, which is the same name that I typed in. So I have 2 layers in this Photoshop document. We want to apply some special effects to the background layer, and we can't do that until we unlock it. And the way we unlock it is by changing its name. So if we double click the word background, I get this new layer dialog box, and the default name is layer 0. Not a great name, but for this assignment we're going to leave it. We're just going to click OK. You can see it changes the name and the lock icon goes away. At this point I'm having you save your file, so let's go File, Save. If it's the first time you're saving it, you might get this compatibility dialog box. Go ahead and click OK. All it's saying is, hey, do you want to make sure you can open this file in older versions of Photoshop? We're going to save your file so that you can do that. Are you okay with it? Yes, you're okay with it. All right, so now we want to make the text look 3D. We're at step 17. So we're going to apply what's called a layer style. So first of all, we have to select the text layer. So I'm going to click one time on the text layer, and I can see it's highlighted because this is gray. 9 times out of 10, the most commonly asked question of why something doesn't work. Why is this not working? I'm doing this, I'm clicking it. It's because you have not selected the correct layer. Even I make that mistake, and I've been using Photoshop for over 20 years. So 9 times out of 10, if something's not working, my advice to you from the beginning is, are you on the correct layer? So in this case, I want to make sure I've selected the Sarah layer, where the text is, so that I can apply a special effect to it. And so we're going to apply what's called a layer style. And so what you're going to do is down here at the bottom of the window, the layers panel where it says FX, if you click that, you have some layer styles. And so these are pre-built special effects. So I'm going to go ahead and click Bevel and Emboss. And when I do that, I get another dialog box that opens up, and you can see, whoa, it looks 3D, and all I did was click a button. Yes, it's that easy. Now I know this layer style panel can look overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff going on. As you work through this course, you're going to come into these different dialog boxes, and you'll start to see certain choices become very similar. They work the same way, and so what you're looking at over here on the right is I have a little preview of my bevel, and you can see it live in the window as well. So you can make some changes to this. You could change the size. That makes it look really flat. I can make it look more rounded, right? Okay. I can have a style inner bevel. I can do outer bevel. I don't really like that. I can even see over here what it looks like it's more floating than three-dimensional. If I choose emboss, oh, that one looks kind of cool. It's giving me like kind of a lighting effect with it. Under smooth, if I chose chisel hard, that's really looks like, you know, it's got a lot of right angles to it. And so you can play around with it. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to go back to smooth. I'm going to go back to inner bevel. Okay. And so then you just click OK and it applies the effect. And if you look in your layers panel, you'll now see with the Sarah layer, it says a little FX over here that's telling me, hey, I have a special effect applied. And it's even telling me what the special effect is, a bevel and emboss. And you can add multiple effects to a single layer, and all of that builds up in the layers panel. And so I would say that, again, two of the most important things that you can take away from this class is layer management, how to work with layers, how to manage your layers, and then how to make selections, how to make precise selections. And then ultimately your goal is how to make fast, precise selections. I don't expect the fast part. This is a level 1 class. That's something that comes with time. All right. At any time, you can always save your image, file, save, or control and the letter S on your keyboard does the same thing. All right, we're at step 18. Let me scroll down a little bit more, scroll up. Here we go. So now what I want to do is in order to make the text appear if it's part of the background, we'll apply a blending mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Sarah layer and blend it with layer 0 so we can apply some more special effects so it kind of looks a little bit see-through. And so with the Sarah layer selected, I'm going to go up here where it says normal in the layers panel, and these are called blending modes. And I have a whole lesson on blending modes many weeks away from now. And so these are, again, special effects. What's happening with a blending mode is it taking the pixels, in this case on the Sarah layer, and blending it with the artichoke layer. It's taking the pixels from one layer and meshing them with the pixels below using mathematical formulas. And if you float your cursor over any of them, you'll start to see, hey, multiply, color burn. I'm getting some really cool, neat effects here. Different blending modes work in different ways. I want you to go ahead and choose overlay. And that's going to kind of blend it so they blend together. It looks like it's laid on top. Still has that three-dimensional effect, but it's really blended with the artichoke in the back. All right, so if we really want to get this Sarah to stand out, we can apply another special effect to layer 0. So we're over here at step 19. Excuse me, we're at step 19, yes, sorry. Okay. All right, I think I just realized that this picture should be up farther. All right, step 19, let's make the text really stand out. So what you're going to do is you're going to click layer 0, we're going to select that layer, and we're going to apply a special filter to it. So we're going to come up here to the filter menu and choose blur, Gaussian blur. And then immediately the image changes in real time, and then you'll see in this dialog box I can adjust that blur. I can drag the radius, I can make it super blurry. I can't even see it at that point, right? Or I can drag it down and it's just a little bit blurry, right? So you can go ahead and make it as blurry or not blurry as you like. It's totally up to you. I'll leave it there, 2.3. That looks good. All right. Let's add one more, step 20, let's add one more text layer. So we're going to go ahead and click the text tool. And then once I click in the middle of my document, you'll see another text layer has been added. And this time I'm going to type the word go chokes. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and click that commit button. I'm also going to hide this layers panel real quick. So whatever the last settings I had with the text tool in the options bar, that's what gets applied again. So that's why I still have the purple, and that's why I still have that Comica Access font style. All right, go ahead and choose the move tool, and we're going to drag this guy down into the lower left corner. And then I'm going to open up my layers panel again. Here's a little shortcut. I want to change the font color. So if I double click this T right here next to Go Chokes, this little thumbnail, that will automatically select the text for me. And then I can come up here to the options bar, and instead of purple, I'm going to choose white. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go back up to edit. This time I'm just going to choose free transform, which is similar to transform, but I can do some other kinds of transformations at the same time. I'm just kind of showing you guys some different things that you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and size that up. I'm going to press the enter key this time, and that sets the text. And I can use the move tool to move it around. Now, do you see those little pink lines that are appearing? Those are called guides. And so Photoshop is saying, hey, this is now in the center of your document. It's just giving me a visual cue. Oh, okay, center good. I'll leave it there. And then I'll click Control S to save it. All right, this time we're at step 22. So while the Go Chokes layer is still selected, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my layers panel and show that it is still selected. I'm going to add another layer style to this. This time I'm going to give it a stroke. Stroke is just an outline. Okay. Now whatever I was doing the last time I was on this computer is using that. So clearly I was using a blue, some type of teal blue stroke with a thickness of 4. The position is the inside. That means it's drawing the line 4 pixels from the inside edge. And so again, you've got some different options that you can play with around here. You can pick any style you like. I'm going to go ahead and change the color to black. So you can see I can change that to black. If I change the position to outside, do you see how that changes? It actually made it look like it was bigger, right? And if I go center, in this case, it would be 2 pixels to the outside and 2 pixels to the inside. Okay, and then inside kind of makes it look thinner with a thicker stroke. So again, you got all these different options. If I increase the stroke, then it's just totally black because, right, 35 pixels would be too much. So just depending on the type of effect you want to get, you can change those options, right? Okay, so I'm going to set that back to 4. Go ahead and click OK. You'll see this has a Go Chokes layer has another layer effect, and this time it's a stroke. And I'm going to do a Control S to save my file. All right, the last thing I want to do is I want to add a border around the entire image, kind of make it look like a picture frame. So this time I want to add the border to layer 0. So I'm going to go ahead and click layer 0. I'm going to click the insert layer style button. I'm going to choose stroke. Now I'm going to get that black 4 pixel stroke because that was the last thing I picked on the last one, right? And so that's totally fine if you want to leave it. Maybe I want to make it super prominent, so I can make it 8 pixels, make it a little bit bigger. Or what am I telling you to do? Choose the layer style, choose stroke, choose inside. I did choose inside. From the position, change the color and size to your liking. Okay, yay, I did. I followed my own instructions. Click OK, and there we go. We got a stroke on the inside of our picture. In fact, if I hide the layers panel, look at that. It looks really cool. I made this cool image with just a few clicks. Save my file. There we go. Now, here's the last part. What we're going to do is we have our Photoshop file. So now what I want you to do is I want you to make a JPEG. I want you to make a copy of it in another file format. And that's one of the things that you can do with Photoshop is you can create an image using a Photoshop file, and then you can export it in many different file formats for whatever platform, you know, if you're building a web page, making a movie, whatever it is. So to save it as a JPEG, you're just going to go File, Save As. You're going to choose where you want to save it, right? And we're just going to choose from Save Type, we're going to choose JPEG, right? And I'm going to leave it with the same name, Practice 1 Sarah Mercill. I'm going to click Save, and then you will get this dialog box. It's just asking you to make some choices about the JPEG file. We're not going to worry about any of that right now, so we're just going to click OK, and you will see, here's the PSD file, right? But if I go to Windows Explorer, there is that JPEG file. Okay, so we went ahead and created it, and you just made like a little meme inside Photoshop. To finish up this assignment, make this back to a window, I can come back to Canvas, and now I can go back to Submit Assignment. And then what you're going to do is you're going to choose File. You're going to go find it, and I want Practice 1, right? There's if you had more than one file to turn in, you would click Add Another File right here, so you can turn in multiple files at the same time. Hi, Sarah. I thought this was awesome. You don't have to say that. You could actually use this to say, hi Sarah, I couldn't find the stroke option on Photoshop, or hey, I didn't have this font, or if there's something you need to tell me about your homework, this is that place to do it when you're turning it in. And then you can go ahead and click Submit. You will wait. it will load, the page will refresh, and then it'll say submitted, and there's the actual file. If you wanted to download it, you know, oh my gosh, did I turn in the right file? So you could download it, you could open it, and look at that. That is the file that I turned in. If you're like, oh my gosh, I turned in the wrong file, no worries. Just click resubmit the assignment and you can turn it again. I'll actually let you turn it in as many times as you like up until the due date, but I will only ever grade the last one you turn in. Students often submit one and then they submit it again because they might have forgotten something, and then they tell me what they turned in, what they forgot. So that is going over practice 1, whetting your appetite in Photoshop. Hopefully this was helpful. I know the video is almost 40 minutes, so have fun watching it, have fun creating it, and welcome to Photoshop. Thank you.